Evening everyone, I hope you're ready for tonight. We won't be on too long, I don't think. Mark's not very well, so he's sitting downstairs. I think he'll probably pop by, so you might have to listen to just what I've got to say about sizes and things rather than see it all written down tonight. But other than that, we should be okay. Let's just turn that sound off. Let's get that going. Right, now, just because of drying time, etc, etc, we're going to do this a little bit of a topsy-turvy way round. Hi Wendy, hi Mel. And what I want to do first of all is start the shaker cover. Normally I'd want to put the pages in next, but this time I want to do it a little bit differently. So what I've got here is I've got two pieces of the extra thick chipboard. I don't know if you can see that. They're about 2.5 millimeters wide, so when you put them together you get about 5 millimeters. So that's kind of the theory behind that. So what you're going to need at this point is you're going to need 2 sheets of the extra thick chipboard. You are going to need a knife, a ruler, a pencil, some PVA ordinary glue, whatever you usually use, and some acrylic paint that matches your papers. I'm going to use white because it's easy. Hi Carol, it was so good to meet you at the weekend. Had such a good time. I'm so glad you came along. I hope you had a good time too, that you're raring to go. Can't wait to see your book finish because it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to grab my knife and we will start to get going. You're gonna, if you haven't figured out already how this works, it's the easiest thing ever. You're just going to be so shocked that you didn't, you know, how it comes together so easily. I did have a ruler. Here it is. Okay, right, are we ready to start? So what I want you to do is, this is exactly the same on both pieces of chipboard, and before I get you to do it, I'm just going to double check I'm not being an idiot, because, you know, stranger things have happened. Right. And I want you, you've got a choice here. The front of our book, this bit here is essentially 6 by 6. If you're making the same one that I've made, just for interest's sake, I have matted my book here onto some gold paper, which matches the gold inside the papers that I've chosen to back up the shaker pocket. Now I have cut this particular bit at 5 3/4 inches square, but if you want to do it 6 inches square, that's absolutely fine too. It's absolutely currently somebody's under my, oh, it's Martha. Martha is currently under my feet, Mel. So I'm sure she'll turn up in a minute, although having said that, I've got stuff everywhere, so I'm really hoping she doesn't jump up. She's trying to find a way. So the size is entirely up to you. This is 5 3/4 inches square. You can do it 6 inches square to cover the whole of the front of the book. And for my book, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be 6 inches square that I'm going to cut it. If you're following this particular design exactly, then you want to cut your chipboard at 5 3/4 inches square. It's entirely up to you. You might decide that you just want a little tiny shaker pocket down the bottom. You might decide you only wanted to cross the bottom half. It really doesn't matter. The principle is exactly the same however you choose to do it. Okay, so I said that I'm going to cut mine at 6 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mark out on my chipboard where 6 inches is. So that's going to be 6 inches square. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing that I draw. I can't see if this is straight. Guess we'll soon find out. Now if you're using A4 chipboard, you're only going to get one out of each sheet, one 6 inch square out of each sheet. You might get, yeah, you will get 2 lots of 5 3/4 out of one. So if you want to save and just use one sheet of chipboard, then 5 3/4 is obviously a better size. Okay. So I'm just going to cut that out with my knife. Now, this chipboard is so thick. You're going to have to be really careful not to wreck your wrists and your hands when you're cutting it out. So the way that I would suggest you do this is just take your knife and just slow and gentle cuts. Just keep going, don't keep pressing down really hard, just as many as it takes. Make sure that your blade is really sharp. Mine's just coming out, that's not really a good start, is it? But I think I've almost cut through now. Yeah, okay, so I've cut that through, but I didn't press hard. I just made lots and lots and lots of little cuts. I'm really not convinced this is square. So now I'm going to do exactly the same here and just cut down. Lots and lots of shallow cuts. So I'm not pressing hard and I am not wrecking my wrists or my hands or my fingers. Okay. So now I've got my piece of board. Now I have got my book here. I've matted the inside pages, which we'll come to in a bit, but I just want to double check that that's going to fit on the front, which it is. So that is a 6-inch square shaker pocket on the front. Okay, that's how much room it'll take up. If you want to do the 5 3/4, that's how much room it will take up. It's ever so slightly less. Okay, now we are going to do this the same on 2 pieces. Oh, sorry, just not that. But I'll just show you bit by bit. What I want you to do next is I want you to draw a frame of 1 inch all around your piece of chipboard, your piece of thick chipboard. Okay. We'll worry about all those little bits afterwards. We don't need to worry about those right now. Okay, so I've made a 1-inch frame. If that's too wide for you, then simply make a 3/4 inch frame. I wouldn't be inclined to go 1/2 inch. You can do, but it's going to be a bit flimsy. So it's entirely up to you. Like I said, on this particular one, I've got a 6 by 6 inch piece of chipboard with a 1-inch frame all the way round. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter if you go over the edges a little bit, is I am going to cut that out. So I have got an aperture in my chipboard and I'm going to cut it out exactly the same way as I've cut the rest, with lots of shallow strokes. Okay, I can feel that's gone through, and if I want to just double check, I don't know if you can see there, you can see that that's actually gone through that big bit of chipboard. So I'm just going to turn that round. And I'm going to cut out that one as well. If you're asking me questions, I haven't got the right glasses on. So Mark's going to have to shout me. Are you watching, Mark? Mark? Oh, not watching. That's helpful. Okay. You didn't need to come up. I just wondered if you were watching, because I can't see to see if anybody's asking any questions. You're going to have to answer them. Okay. Nearly. There's always one bit. Mind your fingers, everybody, by the way. And now we're just going to cut out that last bit. I'm not using my safety ruler. I'm going to be in trouble. Mind you, I don't know where it is, to be honest. I've put it somewhere safe, which means I'll never find it again, ever. Okay, so that should cut out the middle. I know it's not perfectly tidy, that doesn't matter, we'll come to that in a minute, but that's what I've got now. I've got a piece of chipboard that's cut 6 by 6 with a 1-inch frame all around it, and that is going to be my shaker pocket there on my cover. Okay, now I'm going to do exactly the same thing again because I need 2 of these. So I'm going to measure 6 by 6 on my other piece of chipboard with a 1-inch frame. So I'll just grab my ruler and measure and cut it all again. Hi Fiona. And I'm just going to cut that out. Does anybody else cut with their tongue out? Apparently when I'm concentrating I have my tongue out between my teeth. I just wondered if anybody else did that as well, because I can feel myself doing it now it's been pointed out to me. Oh, don't worry about those bits, we'll sort those out in a minute. Okay, so there's my 6 by 6 piece, and now I'm just going to cut out my frame. Measure and cut out my 1-inch frame all the way around. Like I said, you can make whatever frame size you like. I would say either 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch, but certainly no smaller than that. It gets a bit flimsy and bits get lost, would be my opinion. Now I've nearly finished our next book. It's a little tiny one, which you can use and make just for fun, or you can put little photos in it. I'm just debating whether or not to actually put any in mine before I finish it. But that should be done and up certainly by the weekend, I would have thought. So I'm not sure how much crafting you want to do over Christmas. I will be taking some time off. There certainly won't be any classes like this as such between Christmas and New Year. However, what I might well do is just do a pre-recorded video that I put up with a little book on that I think you might like. Not my design, but one I've made many times before that I think is really pretty, that I will show you. Although I do have well, I don't know, we'll put something up. But I don't know how you are leading up to Christmas. Do you want any more of these classes leading up to Christmas, or do you want to start afresh again in the new year? What would you prefer? Let me know. I'll put a poll on the page, I think, actually. Might be the best way forward. But, you know, this is when we start to get busy. You might want the escape, I suppose. Entirely up to you. I'm happy to... Oh, my knife's come out. I'm happy to work around whatever suits. If you've got any ideas as well for things that you want to do next year, let me know as we speak. From the wholesalers, I've got winging to me some packs of the 8x8 Fashion Forward by Graphic 45, which I intend to use for a class in here. It's calendar papers, so that'll give you a little bit of a clue about the sort of thing we can use it for. So that'll be coming up. But if you've got any other ideas for things that you want to make, let me know. I think generally the little books seem to be the popular ones. I do like little books myself, so. I mean, do you want to go for something that's a bit more difficult, you know, a few more weeks? I'd be really interested to know what you all think. Right, okay, so what I've got now are my two frames, and what I want to do is I want to glue them together one on top of the other. It's still messy in here, don't worry, I have a plan for that. Oh, make me one, Mel. What's wrong with my knife? You are cheeky. What's wrong with the way I use my knife? So rude. Right. So all I want you to do next is we're going to glue... I filled these up as well. Oh, I didn't fill this one up. We're going to glue these one on top of the other. So just some white glue. Usual PVA. Especially along that inside edge here, the inside of the frame. Oops. Okay. And I want you to glue them one on top of the other like that. Make sure they're lined up. Near enough. Okay. Right. So that's going to form the base of our shaker pocket. Now, to tidy up these edges, you could use a bit of sandpaper. You can use a nail file. Hi, Holly. Whatever takes your fancy. Now, I'm just thinking that now I've said that, I haven't got either. Oh, that's just typical. I did have a nail file earlier on. Honestly, sharing an office with an engineer and I can't find any sandpaper. He gave me loads, but I've lost it all. Don't tell him. Hold on, I'll have to go and look for some. Darling? Mark? What? You got any sandpaper? I know you've already given me some.
Sandpaper?
Yeah. Right. Okay, he's gone to find me some sandpaper. So all we need to do is just tidy up these edges. Now these inside edges here don't have to be 100% perfect. And the reason for that is that we're actually not going to see them, because when we come to put this frame on the outside, we're going to make it ever so slightly wider than the one, pardon me, underneath, so you're not going to see it. Oh, that'll do just fine. Thank you, darling. So I'm just going to sand those edges off a little bit, just to make them tidy. Oh, he's a star, isn't he? Okay, right, I'm very happy with that. Right. So what I've got now is my shaker pocket sanded, so it's the same all the way around the outside, because as you can see, you will be able to see it slightly on your book. Okay. But what I'm going to do now, just to make sure that it stays really nice and tidy, is I'm just going to get a little bit of acrylic paint. Like I said, I'm going to be using white in this case. Oh dear. And I'm just going to just paint the outside edges. And this is why we're doing this first, because I want to sit it to dry whilst we put the inside pages in, because we don't want wet paint all over our pocket. Doesn't matter if it goes over the inside, not a problem at all. It's just we want to make sure that these outside bits are nice and tidy. I might have to go and wash my hands in a minute, because if there's one thing I can't bear, it's dirty hands. I'm no crafter. I can't bear glue on my hands. And I can't bear paint on my hands. Okay. So I don't want you to think that this has to be beautifully done at all, because it really doesn't. If you wanted to cover this with paper, you could, but it would be a right pain to do, I reckon. Okay, so all 4 outside bits are painted now. And I am going to paint the inside too, just in case. You probably will never see this, but I know it's done and it's finished off properly, which sometimes is just half the thing, isn't it? Okay, now I'm going to put it on fairly sparingly, because I want this to dry quickly, because I want to be able to put it on tonight. But you might decide that you want to give yours another coat. It's entirely up to you. Okay, right, let's just get those corners done. So what you can see here is I have painted the outside of my shaker pocket base, and I've painted those inside bits as well. Okay, it doesn't have to be pretty, because we're never going to see any of that. And I'm just going to put it over here out of the way to dry. Now I'm just going to go and get these out of the way. I will be right back. I'm just going to go and wash my hands and put my paintbrush into wash. 2 seconds and I'll be right back. Right, okay, so that's hands and paintbrush washed. So we're ready now to get on to the next piece, which is actually putting our pages into our book. Now, I think it's far easier if we decorate the pages up before we actually glue them in. So very funny, Mel, watching paint dry. Yeah, I guess it is exactly like that. So I've got my four pages here. I've got the ones with the flips and the flaps that I've decorated. I've got 2 of those, and I've got 2 of the stacked pockets. I've done one way around and the other way around. And here's my book. I've covered that, and I've actually put the covers on the inside. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to add my pages into my book, and I like to start with the back one. So I'm going to do this order in exactly the same way that I've just dropped one, in exactly the same way that I did this one. So I'm going to start at the back with one of these flippy flappy pocket pages. So I want it that way round, and as you know, here we've actually still got our straight through bit, because that's where we put our big tabbed photo mat in there, but we've obviously still got the hole here between those gussets. So my hinges, I've got the 4 here that we did a couple of weeks ago. I have slightly tapered the ends of the hinges so that it makes it very, very easy to slip my pages on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the back, so the back hinge, and I'm going to put some glue on both sides of the hinge. I should have put the thing back in that, my bad. So some wet glue. People use tape for this. Honestly, I just so wouldn't. It just scares the living daylights out of me. I just think it's not strong enough to hold your books. So do use wet glue, but sparingly. You don't need loads and loads and loads. I shouldn't do that right-handed. You don't need loads and loads and loads. But do coat it quite well. Okay. So what I've done now, I hope you can see, is that I've put wet glue on both sides of my hinge. I'm now going to take my first page, which is actually the back page, and that hole there in between the front and the back of my book, I am going to slip onto that hinge. I'm going to make sure it's centered, and I'm going to leave it just ever so slightly away from the bottom of the hinge. I don't want you to butt this hinge, this page, right up to the bottom of the hinge. I don't know if you can see it here because this gusset's in the way, so I've just folded it right down, but I've left about 1/8 of an inch gap between the fold of the hinge where it hits the spine and the actual page. I'm just going to make sure that lies flat, which it does, and I'm going to make sure that that's stuck down really well. Now what I do like to do is just to add a couple of clips in place as well, just to make sure that this dries in exactly the right place. So I'm just going to use my fingers first of all, just to make sure that the page is adhered on both sides, and I'm just going to stick a little clip on both sides there, and just check again that I do have some space. Okay, so that is the first page in the book. Every page is adhered in exactly the same way. Okay, I've lost my glasses. I'll just check. Is everybody following this all right? It's actually a whole lot simpler than you think. Okay, so are we all right with that? So that's the first page in. I just keep going back to it and just pressing down on where the hinge is, just to make sure that it's in the right place. Okay, I'm just going to take these off for a minute because they're going to get in the way of our next page. So that is the first page in the book. I'm going to put in my next page, which for me is one of these stack pocket pages. Now in my book, both of these go in with the belly band side facing each other. It's entirely up to you. If you want to have the stack pocket sides facing each other, that's fine too. But I'm going to put that one in now. So I think I'll start off with this one, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before. I am going to put my glue on both sides of my hinge. Plenty of glue, but not too much, if that makes sense. Just take that out of there. And I'm going to place this in, because if you remember, obviously we've got the holes all the way through the pages. I'm going to place this on here so that the hinge is inside the pocket. I'm going to make sure it's not all the way to the where the hinge joins the spine. And I'm just going to line it up and just make sure that it sits perfectly on top of the other page. Okay, so you can see that they lie really well one on top of the other. Okay, and I'm just going to press that down again, just make sure that it's well adhered, it's lying straight. But hopefully here you will be able to see a lot better that my page does not butt up completely to the spine. There is a small gap of about 1/8 of an inch, and what that does is that allows our pages to fall flat. At this point they're not going to, you know, the glue's got to dry. If you start forcing them flat at this point, they're going to go out of line. You need to be patient, you need to wait for your glue to dry. Over time, with folding and moving the pages backwards and forwards, they will loosen up as the fibres in the paper kind of break up a little bit, and you'll find that it all sits very well and does exactly what you want it to do. Okay, so I've got my first 2 pages in there, and as you can see they do line up here. So I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to put my glue on the front and the back of my hinge. This is the second hinge in the book because I'm working backwards to forwards, because that's what works for me. You might have a different way of doing it if you've used this hidden hinge binding system before. It's entirely up to you, but that's just the way that works for me. So I've got glue on both sides of that hinge. I've got my other stack pocket here, which I did the other way around, but I want it to go belly band to belly band. So I'm just going to place that on there. Lie it down, make sure it lines up. Make sure that I've got my gap of about 1/8 of an inch. Make sure it's straight. And make sure that that is stuck really, really well. Okay, happy with that. This is so easy. Once you've done it once, you'll think, oh yeah, I can do this. It really is so much simpler to make books than people think. It really isn't difficult at all. Okay, so now I'm going to put in my last page, and I'm going to do it exactly the same way. So it's glue on the front of the hinge, not quite down to the fold where it meets the spine, and on the back. And now I'm going to put in my first page, which is obviously what people will see as soon as they open the book. I've got where my, oh, let's just take that out. That's my little photo mat, and I'm just going to slip that onto the last hinge. Okay, make sure it lines up, and make sure that there's about 1/8 of an inch gap. It's a bit more difficult with these pages because of the gussets, but if you just keep an eye on it, Make sure it lines up. That one doesn't quite. There we go. It's better. It's just a case of being patient, doing each page separately and making sure, see, I haven't got that in right now. That they adhere in well. Right. It's a bit too far away. Let's try it in. Might have to re-glue this one. Okay, right, I'm happy enough with how those are in. So what I'm going to do now while it's all drying is I'm just going to add in those clips that I had at the beginning. Give each page a little squeeze down the hinge because I like to do that. So we've got to make sure these are stuck in really well, otherwise your book's going to fall to pieces. Okay, and there's the last one. Just make sure that's stuck in. Yeah. And I'm going to leave that to dry. Just put those up. Okay, so that's just now, my pages are all in. As you can see, we've got where our hinges were, we've now got pages added to our hinges, and I'm just going to put that to one side to dry. Now, what we're going to do now is work on our cover because we need to actually cover up the front of the book, and I have absolutely no idea which papers to use. So whilst our shaker pocket is drying, I'm going to have a look at the papers, but just bear in mind that what you are choosing to go underneath this shaker pocket here needs to be a focal point, because what you see is going to be this bit here. Now I chose those papers because they've got gold bits in, which I really liked, but you know, you just need to have something that you can focus on. Now these papers that I'm using that Mark bought me all those many years ago comes with a sticker sheet, and I happen to notice that there is this great big sticker here which I really like, which I've decided to use as my focal point underneath there. Okay, so I know I've got that far. I know I'm going to do that, but I need to cover my my book in some sort of suitable papers, so I'm just going to decide which ones those are going to be. Now you obviously don't have to have a shaker cover for these for the front of these books at all. I've made many of them where I haven't used, that blue's kind of nice, where I haven't used a shaker pocket. In fact, I'll show you one in a moment. I think I like the blue. This is another version of the same book. exactly the same. This was using Maggie Holmes Flourish papers when they came out. And as you can see, all I've done here is I've used chipboards and some die cut ephemera to decorate the book. But what I've done is I've actually matted the pattern paper onto just plain card, black and white, because I just thought it gives it a nice sort of a finish. Also, I think I'd used 6x6 papers, which were marginally too small, so it kind of killed two birds with one stone. But that is the look that I'm going to be going for on the front of this book as well, and I will be doing the spine in the same way, the back as well. So this is exactly the same book that we've just made, decorated up the front here. We've got our flaps. It just shows how using different papers can make such a difference to the book itself, and it can be used for, you know, for any occasion at all. As I said, I've shown you my 50th birthday one, which I still haven't finished, surprisingly. But these, you know, these books can just lend themselves to any occasion. I do them as kits in my shop without any pattern papers, so that, you know, if you wanted to just take the bother of making one for yourself away, not having to count loads of pieces of cardstock and buy chipboard and stuff, then those are in the shop at scraplab.co.uk if you want to have a look, and I could do those in white or black. This is obviously a black one. This is obviously a white one. And I do have some of these pattern papers left as well if you want that exact kit. So, moving swiftly on. I'm now going to decorate the cover of my book. And these are the papers that I've got. So I just need to decide which ones I want to use. I do like that. I love that bit. But we're only really going to see that on... Oh, covered in stuff. I might have to go over that with a bit of white paint. Decisions. Right. I also couldn't decide which sequins to use. So I found these that I've got left over from something else, which I kind of liked. But I made up these as well, which I think go quite well, but they give quite a different look to the front. So they've got the blacks in and the creams, and I did have somewhere safe, which means I've lost them, some shapes from Bramble Fox, which were really, really cute, and I thought might be nice to use. They'll turn up. These. I did wonder about maybe using some of these in the appropriate colours in the shaker pocket as well, because I thought they were really cute. And some of the colours do go. So I don't know. I don't know which papers to use. Or which sequins. Tell me. Oh. Oh, hi Rizwana. Yeah, the papers that I've used on this book are called Peaches and Cream. The collection is by a Ukrainian company called Scrapmere, and I've just taken delivery last week of some extra ones, so I have got some. They will be going in the shop in their own right, as opposed to just as part of the kit, because currently they're just part of the kit. But if you want them, I have got the paper, I've got the ephemera die cuts and the frames, which are what I've used in my book, and I'll put those up. If not tonight, it might be tomorrow, but certainly by the weekend. But they are rather pretty, I have to say. So, yeah, that's not a problem at all. We can certainly do that. Right. Is anybody going to make a decision for me here? Because I can't decide. Oh, I'm going to go with this side. Right, I'm going to go with this side. Pardon me. So let's put those papers to one side. And first of all, I am going to measure exactly how big that is, which is 6.5 inches square, the book. Trimmer. So I'm going to cut my front and back cover to fit, but I want to mat them. So instead of 6.5 inches, I am going to cut them at 6.25 inches square. So let's have a look. 6.25 inches by 6.25 inches. And that is going to be the back of my book. Let's just see. Am I happy with that? Yep. And I'm going to cut the same for the front. Okay, so that's my front, and now I need to just measure my spine, which is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that at 2.25 inches. Now, if I've done this right, which is doubtful, because my brain's not in gear tonight, those should, yeah, follow round. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mat these. I think I'm going to mat them onto white card. Now, because I have inked the edges on all of the inside pieces of paper, I'm going to do the same on these as well. Okay, I might change my mind because it's my prerogative, and I might mat it onto black before I mat it onto white. Is it just me, or is anybody else really hot tonight? Right. Oh, I don't know what to do. I think I'll mat it onto black and then onto white. Or shall I mat it onto white and then onto black? Ooh. Onto white and then onto black. Right. You can use double-sided tape on this. I'm not a great lover of double-sided tape for most uses, but I think for matting this, it's not going to be the end of the world. The trouble with glue is if you put too much of it on, obviously it has a tendency to I really should, I thought I'd filled this up. Wrinkle your paper, which we don't need, of course. But these little bottles are great. They just make it be used really sparingly. Right, so matted that up. Let's mat that one up as well. got my tongue out. I'm so aware I do that now. Okay. And now I'm going to mat up this last one. Okay, right, I'm a great believer in measuring 20 million times before you cut, so I'm just going to double check that that's 6.5 inches square. Oh, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my background black piece at 6 3/8 of an inch, which is about there. So 6 3/8 of an inch square. And I'm just going to check that for size before I go any further. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be my backing piece. I'm going to need 2 of those. Okay, so that's 6 3/8 of an inch. And then the last one was 6 3/8 of an inch by 2 and it was 2.5, wasn't it? So the measure 2.5, so that's going to be 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay, just make sure it all fits. Don't want to look like an idiot in a moment again. Okay, happy with that fit. So now I'm going to cut these matted pieces. I'm like a crafter, I'm now in a mess. There's stuff everywhere. Oh well. Right, let's see if that fits on there. Yeah, it's exactly the same size, so that's not much good, isn't it? That'll teach me. Might make that slightly bigger then. Six and a half fit. Let's have a look. Right, let's make sure that fits. Oh, it's so close. No, I don't like that. I'm cutting 1/8 of an inch off that. Oh, I'm talking to myself as well. Right. So I've cut my black piece at 6.5 inches all the way around, and it gives you just that tiniest mat, which actually isn't a bad thing. So I've got my black mat, which is 6.5 inches square. The white mat is 6 3/8 of an inch square, and that is 6.25 inches square. Okay, so there's 1/8 of an inch. I hope that's right. It sounds about right. Okay, so that bit's good. That bit's good to go. How big was that? not 2.5. Right, I'm going to get some black card. Just had it and put it somewhere safe. Right, so that's my background. That is 6.5 inches square. Just okay, let's put that on. Yep, that's good. It gives a little bit of an edge. And then we've got this final piece, which is 6.5 by 2.5 inches. Right. Perfect. Okay. Hello, Kerry. The black sequins, Carol, I promised you some navy ones, and the ones that I had didn't at all go with that paper. So I'm just waiting for a little delivery, which should be here any minute. And as soon as those come, I will pop them in the post to you. Right. Okay. But it's funny, I know we all know that reds don't always go together. We can choose a couple of reds and, you know, they're just going to clash like anything. But actually, blue's not a whole lot better either. It's funny how difficult blue can be. Right. Okay, that's going to go on my spine. So I'm just going to glue that on. Now, I know Mel's gone, but obviously if anybody wants a charm to go on this, I haven't put one on this book. But Mel's you go to if you need any help with charms, or whether you want to make one yourself, or whether you want to you know, get her to make one for you. I know she's available for that sort of thing. Her business page is Safi Mel, or you can always contact her through me, because, you know, she's knocking about somewhere usually. Oh, I've lost you all. Where have you gone? There we go. Oh, it's going to be one of those days today. Now, I'm based in the Midlands, just outside beautiful Cannock Chase. 2 minutes and I'm on the Chase, so I'm really close by, between Cannock and Stafford. And today I've had to go up to Stoke, and it took me 2 hours. And if anybody knows how far that is, the answer is not far at all. So it's nice to do some crafting this evening, just to get over the shock of having to do such a stupid long journey. Right, okay, so there's one of the covers. Let's do the other one. did wonder if I was going to get back in time tonight, but I did. Right. Okay. Right, so now I'm going to glue those on front and back. Now, once we've put this shaker cover on, the only thing that we've still got to do is decorate up our photo mats, decorate the inside of the book. It's all the pretty stuff. I wasn't planning on doing another live for that, but if you want to, we can do. But obviously, just bear in mind that I'll be decorating up this version of the book that I'm making right now, as opposed to the other one. But it might give you some ideas. So if you want to, if you want that, will you let me know? And we'll have one more live. Okay, right, so that's the back of the book done. Now I'm just going to do the front. Okay. Make sure that's stuck down properly. Okay, so that's the cover of my book, just the basics decorated. Now we're going to move on to our shaker cover. So, I mean, ideally you're going to leave this longer to dry. I'm going to use mine now because it's dry enough, and I want to get on and show you how to do it. So we're going to work on the shaker pocket. So what I want to do now is I want you to put glue, wet glue, around your frame. And I want you to place it onto the front of your book, wherever you decide you want it to go. I'm just going to plonk mine right in the middle. Let's have a look. Now this is why I was saying about bearing in mind what papers you're using, because that is going to be visible through my sequins. Well, it's not actually, because I'm going to put a sticker on there. But do you see what I mean? That's why you need to think about your papers that you're going to use, because that is what is now forming the back of my shaker pocket. So on this one here, those papers are the ones that I put on here, and you can just see them just round the edge there where I've matted them onto the gold card. Okay, so that needs to be stuck down really, really well and needs to dry a bit. If you have got glue along these bits here, you absolutely need to make sure that it's wiped away, gone, dried, whatever, because all of your sequins will stick to it else. Right, let me just make sure that that is sticking down. Really important that this sticks really well. So I'm just going to clip that. Whilst I show you the next bit. Now I'm not going to glue mine down. I'm not going to glue the top bit down the acetate when we come to it. And that'll become clear why, because you need to have some patience with this bit. We need to make sure that it's stuck down really, really well. Oops. Okay. So this bit in here, that's where we're going to put all the goodies. So, have you decided, gang, which ones am I using? Am I using those or am I using those? I know what I'm leaning towards. That's a hint, the ones I've left in there. Yeah, Wendy, I did think about coming to visit for a cup of tea at one point, actually, because I just got stuck in traffic for stupid amounts of time. So, and I've got these really cute little bits from Bramble Fox as well, which I think might go in. Certainly the pinks might be nice. Let me just make sure they fit. Thought the stars would fit. Yep, they're definitely... Right, they're going in. Just take the backing off. So now what I'm going to do is decide what I want to put in my shaker pocket. Now, obviously the sequins, they're the obvious choice. You've got these cute little plastic embellishments. You can use, I have tried glitter. Glitter's kind of fun, although it does get stuck a bit to your acetate. You can use those. You can use anything that's going to shine and sparkle, and I've used little gems, that sort of thing. I don't know about those. I don't really, well, they do actually. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I might put some, oh, I'm going to put another one in at least. Just taking the plastic backing off. So long as whatever you're putting in does not come above the edge of your chipboard, you can add whatever you like. And just bear in mind how much you're adding as well, because too much and nothing's going to shake. Can't get these off. Right, I reckon one more. Wreck my nails. Not that I've got any. Right, okay, because they're just like interesting. So I'm going to put some of these in. Now, these ones that I've chosen are the ones that you've all got. If you've had the kit, these are the ones out of the kit, but I've added some black sequins in. So, right, you just add some in. It's so cute. I do like a bit of sparkle. Mel's missing the best bit. Oh, everywhere. Right. That should do. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to show you roughly how many I've got in there. Okay. Don't know if you can see that. I'm looking at this on the screen and the colours are awful. It looks really dull, but it's really not. The colours aren't dull at all on these papers. They just look it, which is such a pity. Oh my God, Carol, I bloody was putting a sticker in. Oh. Rats. Hello, Linda. Don't worry. You've just missed me swearing. The video will be saved in the announcements section and it'll be on YouTube in a bit. So you haven't missed anything, so don't worry. You've just missed me being an idiot. Right, where did I put the stickers? You know what? It's not going to fit now. Right, let's start again. Let me put my little sticker in. Right, fits in perfectly. Now, isn't that pretty? Okay, so now I'm going to put my shaker pocket in. Oh. All my sequins and pretty bits, and probably there's bits of cat fur in here now and stuff, but you know. Oh, got sequins everywhere. Hang on. Right. Okay. So, gosh, isn't it pretty with the sticker? Thanks for reminding me. What I'm going to do now is, obviously we need to put something over the top so that it's not going to fly everywhere. So, I am going to suggest that we attach our acetate, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover it with acetate. Now, I am not a card maker. I think I've always been really, really clear about that. But, Kerry, are you still here? Is Kerry still here? Or any card makers, you might be able to help with this. I understand that you stampers have a secret weapon, which is a special anti-static-y thing that you rub on stuff before you stamp to make sure that all the particles have disappeared. And I reckon that that might be an idea to do on the acetate sheet. Just a thought. Will that work? Can anybody tell me? Just a thought. Right, I'm going to cut my acetate sheet, and I am going to cut it at 5.5 inches square. Oh, that would have been funny if they'd gone everywhere again. Okay, and that is going to go over there. But I don't know if you saw that now. Some of my sequins have stuck to my acetate sheet, which is what makes me think that anti-staticking this might be an idea. Is there a way to do it if you haven't got an anti-staticky baggy thingy? Mark, is there a way to do it? Oh. I don't, what's in them? Does anybody know? Somebody told me it was corn flour. That's just going to leave marks, I reckon. Anyway, whatever. Right, for this bit, you are going to need, I think, this is how it works for me. You might know different ways because I've just guessed this. But what works for me is some red double-sided tape and some good old glossy accents. I love glossy accents. Now, the tape for me holds it in place whilst the glossy accents sticks it. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I am going to, got stuff everywhere. Just put some of this double-sided red tape. This is the really strong stuff. Oh, that's a good idea, Linda. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Yes, an anti-static bag, but I like Linda's idea of the talc in an old sock. I have plenty of odd socks. That would be perfect. Right, so I'm just going to add this red tape. To the outside of my pocket. Oh, I've got a glittery thing in there. I'm not the tidiest, as you can see, but that's okay. Oh, okay, Linda. So whatever I do, it's going to end up staticky. That's okay. I'll not bother. Right. So I've got my red tape on. I'm going to just take that tape off. God, this is the most staticky stuff in the world. And then what we're going to do to make sure that we don't lose sequins and stuff underneath our acetate, we're going to use the glossy accents along this edge here. That's going to adhere the acetate to the chipboard. But you need to use it sparingly, because take it from me, it'll ooze out underneath the acetate and it'll stick all of your sequins to it. Trust me, I know this. So I'm just going to put a little bit around the edge there. And I'm going to get my piece of acetate, which is now covered in all sorts of rubbish, cat hairs mainly. Hold on. Oh, now I've covered it in bits of sticky paper. Oh. And I'm going to lay that down over my shaker pocket like that. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that it is stuck really well. So my shaker pocket shakes. Right, it seems that the general consensus of opinion is that you would like another live to finish off. So for me, this seems like a good time to stop. So we're going to leave that to dry. We're going to leave our pages to dry in our book. And we will come back next Wednesday at 7:30 and we will finish off the book. So we'll finish off the front cover. We'll do our paper frame for that. We'll decorate it up. We'll decorate up the insides and we will have a look at our photo mats. So until that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all of the pages inside are covered. So I've got already, I've got all of these bits covered, and I'm going to make sure that these are done as well, so that we're starting with a completely clean slate and we're just ready to decorate. So that's it for me for tonight. Thank you very, very much for joining me. I'm just reading. Yeah, I'm just reading what Linda's saying. Yeah, I know, it's the same. I'll tell you what, my cats, I have 4 cats who will probably all make an appearance at some point in these videos. And one of them, Martha, absolutely loves to eat it because, you know, she can. So that'll do for tonight, I reckon. If we just leave that to one side to dry, we're really getting there. I'm really impressed, actually. I didn't expect to get this far in just 3 classes, so I think you're all doing exceptionally well. And we'll be back again next Wednesday, which will be December, the beginning of December. That's scary. And we will finish our books off and we will have a look at the next project. And we need to decide, like I said, whether we're going to do that before or after Christmas. It's entirely up to you. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Linda, welcome. So glad that you could join us. Wendy, please put me some more work in progress shots in the group, because I really do love looking at them. Like I said, if you're looking for a charm for your book, then please do get in touch with Mel, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Well, I'll see you before then, but I'll see you all next Wednesday. So thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.